Hey y'all, if you don't know me, my name is Caoilinn, and I'm here to share my testimony with you this morning. Even before I could remember, I was attending church with my family every Sunday. I believed in God and even knew all the stories, but I never really grasped the concept of it all. I grew up with an amazing family and a great community who would always love me and challenge me to be the best and to dive really deep. There was never a moment where I felt like I wasn't loved enough. But then I started school, and I had come to love it until I began to be mocked for my appearance, my beliefs, and most of the aspects that made me who I was. I learned to hide my faith and never let people know who I really was. I always had a wall up around me so no one could get close. I began to feel as if I was too much for people and that everyone would eventually leave me for it. During this time, I had close friends who either moved away, left me, or just didn't want to be my friend at all. And as you can imagine, this fed into the growing fear of abandonment and self-consciousness. This fear and self-consciousness followed me all the way to middle school, where I found it very hard to fit in with other people, as most do. I slowly began to change myself to what others wanted me to be. I lost my faith in the minute details that made me who I am in the process, even though I still called myself a Christian. I then began to define my worth by what others thought of me, whether it was friends, peers, teachers, or most especially what boys thought of me. And I began to shape myself in a different image that God did not call me to be. By this time, I didn't have a true friend to rely on or confide in. So many of my friends had come in and out of my life at this point that I felt so lonely. I felt the deepest of lonelinesses and depression, even with my family and church surrounding me. My walls began to rise higher up to the point where no one knew I was hurting. I started to live for the world and not by how God wanted me to be. And I put on a Christian persona whenever it was convenient for me, but never really believing. It wasn't until I was in the darkest place in my life, where the loneliness, the depression, and the abandonment issues had all compounded to make worse problems, that I decided to pick up my Bible for the first time in years. All the friends I had at this time thought I was crazy for this, but I knew it was the right decision for me. Through this, I lost many friends, but I found myself through God's word. After all of this, I started high school. I learned to lean into my faith more and more every day, and my life began to incredibly change. I truly felt the Lord's hand present, and the loneliness, the depression, abandonment issues, and so much more was washed away through his blood. I was so on fire for the Lord at this time, but he knew I couldn't do it on my own. That same year, I met my best friends and this really big family that was involved in the church, who I would one day call my second family. I never told them this, but from the get-go, I knew God had sent all of them to me, and they've all had a huge hand in my testimony and leading me. After years of praying for true Christ-like friends, he graciously answered my prayers. Now, because of this, I have the most incredible support system, family, and friends, and I no longer define myself by what others think of me, but by what God tells me I am, which is a beautiful creation designed in his own image, and I could not be more grateful to him. Truly, his plan is far greater than my own, and it's more than I could have ever dreamed of. I just want to end with my life verse and some lyrics from one of my favorite worship songs. And the verse is Micah 7:7, and goes, "But as for me, I will look to the Lord. I will wait for the God of my salvation. My God will hear me." And then the song goes, excuse me. "I used to think miracles had to be water turned to wine or the parting of the sea. But when I look into your eyes, I see heaven break through, and it's making me believe my miracle is you." I could not be more grateful for what the Lord has done in my life, or the friends and family he has brought to me along the way. Thank you.